Mitchell has his head up, takes the feet. Oh, my! Donovan!
Get that weak stuff out of here!
We'll figure that out. Like I'm not really too concerned about that. Evan Mobley has looked pretty good too since coming back. So, this is a good team. This is a good team. I do wonder where you're at with like Evan Mobley's offensive development. Like, are you at the points where you like where would you compare his ceiling to if you had to compare it to another player in the NBA?
Oh man, that's tough. So I feel like I kind of like the Domantas Sabonis comparison because I like the playmaking potential for Mobley. I don't know. He's shooting the lights out from the 3-point line recently, which is like really crazy and like unexpected. So I don't know like what's going to happen there. I think we'll probably see him come back down to earth a little bit, but I always use like free throw percentage as a good indicator, and he's shooting, I think, 75%. So there's definitely something there. He has improved as a shooter. We'll see how much that develops, but I don't think the Cavs need Mobley to be like a 25 point per game scorer. I think they have this, at least this version of the Cavs have that covered with Garland and Mitchell. Mm-hmm. I think really for Mobley, the leap was always going to be a little bit more difficult to see because there's only so many reps that he can get on offense. There's only so much he's going to be able to contribute. But if we see him continue to stretch the floor a little bit, continue to be he's an automatic bucket if you get him the ball in the paint. If you have Garland or Mitchell manage to dump it off to him, it's like an 80% shooter in the paint. I mean, that's as easy of a point as you're going to get. If he continues to shoot from the mid-range well, get himself to the free throw line, embrace contact, I think is one of the big things that he needs to do, especially setting screens. Drives me crazy watching him try to set a screen because he just does not like hitting other people. If he can start doing that, that'll really open up a lot of things for them. So I'm still high on Evan Mobley, especially his offense. I think if he was on a team that had no expectations and he was the main guy, like he was the lottery pick, I think you'd see him average like above 20 points per game. But what do you think? Where are you at with him?
Yeah. It's a weird place because like I think so much of it depends on like how he fills out and develops like as a like physically, right? Because I think he'll be a much better shooter if he's just a little bit heavier. Like he needs that heavier base to kind of finish through jump shots or just finish through contact. Yeah, like I think in his form's fine. Like it doesn't look janky when he shoots it. He just like I don't think he is at the weight he needs to be at to be able to shoot the way that he wants to shoot. And I think he'll get better at that as time goes on and as he gains more weight. I think he's going to be somebody to me that's very similar to Anthony Davis. Like that's where his ceiling is. My screen just cut out because my cat's like,
You're good.
head button everything. But yeah, so I think to me the comp for him has always been like kind of similar to Anthony Davis, where like he made that evolution as he got bigger, and stronger, and was able to be a more effective offensive player. I think that's the ceiling for him. And
I like that person.
Yeah, like I think that's where he is. I think he also would just always kind of be a streaky shooter too. Like I think that's going to be part of his game where he's never going to be a consistent knockdown. Like Tim Duncan was like a knockdown elbow shooter, but he's not going to be that. I think he's going to always have these stretches where he has like good shooting splits, bad shooting splits, but he'll be a pretty consistent offensive player. And Anthony Davis, if he doesn't get injured, is like one of the best players in the NBA.
So that's a great comparison. I mean, I feel like people undersell it sometimes, but it's like, hey, if Anthony Davis is healthy, that's like one of the 5 best players in the NBA. So, and not to jinx anything, but Mobley's been pretty durable outside of that knee injury. So who knows, man?
Yeah, but Evan Mobley, I've been on an island with that one for a while, where Evan Mobley, Anthony Davis comp, because I think like they were very similar players coming out of college, like super thin, really good defensive prospects. Some like the seedlings were there for him to become an offensive player, but so many people got caught up in the KG stuff because he's skinny, and they got caught up in the Tim Duncan stuff because he's like really relaxed, and I think that kind of clouded how people compare him to things. And then Bill Simmons got out there calling him KG. And once you call somebody KG, you can't come back from that. And KG is like, I think people really like forget how good a young KG was.
Minnesota KG was insane.
Like, I think people are like, oh yeah, he could be like Kevin Garnett. Cause like we just throw out Kevin Garnett comps like it's not. We gave a Kevin Garnett comp to Nerlens Noel. Remember that in 2013?
Oh man, that's bad.
Yeah, that was the cop going out for him. And I was like, what is going on? Like I heard Brian Windhurst say this back in the day. And then we throw out that KG cop, and I'm like, no, there's one KG, right? Like KG was a different beast, but I think he's somewhere more lines like AD, which is really, really good. And if he does turn into that, and you have either Garland or you have Donovan Mitchell with him, I mean, that's a championship caliber team. But you gotta be patient. He's 22. He is also in a situation where he can't just be ball dominant, right? So there are things he has to learn. The one thing that like bugs me about him offensively is he don't hold on to the ball well. Like I don't understand why that is. Like
he's got a loose handle.
Yeah, like does he have smaller hands? Like is this a physical issue or is it like grip strength? Like the ball seems so. Remember Sasha Pavlovich? He seemed to have the loosest grip I've ever seen on the ball. And sometimes like Evan Mobley will have Sasha Pavlovich-esque like turnovers where it's like, he just touched you. Like hold on to the ball.
I think some of it comes down to that not having the frame too. I think a lot of times if you watch him like really closely when he's driving, it seems like he's focused so much on trying to brace for the contact that he like loses, he takes his eye off the ball almost and loses it because of that. So that's definitely like improving that handle and getting a better grip of the ball is definitely an aspect he has to improve. I just want to hit on the Anthony Davis comparison one more time. In terms of being a streaky shooter, Anthony Davis is a streaky shooter, but you saw in that 2020 run when they won the championship, he got hot at the right time and that's all you needed. And so I'm not going to put those expectations on Mobley, but it could be a case of like, hey, this dude gives you 16 games in the playoffs where he's just hitting that jump shot. That could make the difference. I mean, that's really what it comes down to when we talk championships. Like, you just got to get hot at the right time. That's why it's so difficult to win these things because some of it just comes down to luck and hitting your stride when you need it most. And so hopefully Mobley can develop into the kind of player that can put a team over the top like that.
Yeah, he would be the backbreaker, right? Like that's the backbreaker, right? Okay, Donovan's making shots. We accounted for that. We know he's going to make shots. Okay, Darius is making shots. We accounted for that. We're going to make that. But if Evan is making little floats and little jumpers,
if he hits a three from the corner, you're like, yeah.
It's like, okay, it's with like Rashad Lewis when he was with the Orlando Magic versus the Cavs in the Eastern Conference Finals. Like, all right, dog. Like, that's it. Like, we got nothing for that. Like, we knew Dwight was going to go off.
Got to wave the white flag.
Yeah. So I think that's what Evan Mobley's role offensively is to be. I think people look at him in the context of being the number one option on offense. He's not that archetype of player, but what he is the backbreaker, right? Which is like, okay, now he's like going off. We got nothing. We got absolutely nothing for that. And they're already a tough team to beat when Darius and Donovan, or just one of Darius and Donovan are going off. So the bones are there for this to be a really good team.